They're making waves on the Gold Coast property scene.
You just can't replicate the lifestyle of the Gold Coast. It's such a desirable location to live.
Really, it's the market that is going to make the decision.
Accumulation of the 1%ers throughout.
Ready to take less than what you thought your bottom dollar might be. And
All right, welcome to Buying Gold Coast, another Everyday Gold Coast series. We've been rolling these out the past few weeks. Been loving the feedback. Just everyday Gold Coasters having a dead set crack, and today's no different. We got the crew from Barlow actually. They're making waves on the Gold Coast property scene, and Chelsea and Sam. One thing I love about Chelsea and Sam, they're both, well, I was going to say in their 20s, but we'll reveal. Big Sam's hit the 3-0, but so young, doing amazing things. We're going to talk not only on past projects, future projects, some of the key learnings I think would be epic too. Any mistakes on the way, and then I guess what's in store as well. I love what you guys are doing from a branding point of view too. So thanks for jumping on Buying Gold Coast.
No, thank you.
Oh,
Thanks for having us
excited
both.
to chat.
Yeah,
First podcast, both of us together.
yeah,
Yeah, my first time on the mic.
yeah, love it. No, I think where I always like to start is obviously Barlow. You guys have been around for a while, haven't you? Like Barlow building has.
Yeah,
When did you launch? When did the company start?
It's probably nearly been 8 or 9 years now. And yeah.
It started when I first met Chels, and I was working for another builder, and Chels kind of persuaded me or pushed me towards going out by myself, and we started like really small, just doing, really any sort of jobs we could get our hands on, dropping flyers in, letterboxes, doing the small jobs, and we kind of just over the time built my confidence into getting into bigger and better projects, and then obviously now where we pretty much just only focus on new builds or major renovations, which are pretty much new builds.
Yeah, it seems to be the theme. Hey, like we've had the likes of Grayer on here. We've had some other, MacTech Nick on here too, and like everyone sees where they are now, but everyone had a similar story. Like they're just sort of punching away. Even Matty from Render X, we had him on, and his story was epic. Like he come over here with like a surfboard, and it's just like, he'd drive around to the sites and whatnot. So was that with you guys too? Like, did you have visions of trying to build an actual company, or was it just take on some work and do little renos here and there? Or
I had a very strong vision from when I was young. Like I've been setting yearly goals as you do from like a really young age. And if I was to look back at my goals from when I'm like 16, it was always the end goal was to be a developer. So even when we started Barlow building, like we would take on anything and everything just to,
gotcha.
Have enough work. I was never, I sort of put my ego aside and didn't really care what work I did. It was just whatever work we could have to bring in money. And then over sort of the next 5 years, we just sort of transitioned into, being a little bit more selective with what we did, and then,
kind of come to fruition from there. Yeah. And what's your background? I always love just a quick on the backgrounds. Like, what were you always in construction, or what's your background, Chelsea and Sam?
I wasn't from construction, but I have always loved it. I went to uni and did business management, marketing.
Yeah.
My parents have always had a company, and I had my own business before fully
sick.
committing to Barlow, which I loved.
What was it?
Like those little kiosks in the middle of the shopping centres
Yeah.
that sell just like random stuff. So I used to just sell everything and anything. My parents owned Toy World my whole life. So
Gotcha.
always loved selling.
Yeah. So that
toys.
entrepreneurial kind of was in the family from a young
definitely.
age.
But me and Sam always say, lucky we found each other, because we used to walk this same stretch in Palm Beach when we lived there. I used to point out the same things about different houses, like the entire walk. So I've always loved the construction industry and just houses in general.
Yeah, true. And what about yourself, Sam? What was your sort of background from school? And
I dropped out of school in grade 10 and got straight into a landscape construction apprenticeship.
Gotcha.
Which I did for 3 years.
Classic high school dropout story. Yeah, love that.
Yeah.
When we first started Barlow, it used to take me an hour to write any sort of literate sort of email. But
he would always send me something and be like, is this okay? And I'm like, I don't know how to tell you that it's so not okay.
It's so,
yeah.
And then I would see him struggling, and I'm like,
I
let
love
me
that.
just write this.
Yeah, I love that.
But
Good.
that's why we're a team. You've
Yeah.
got your
Yeah.
strengths,
Good
I've
skill
got my
sets.
strengths.
Yeah.
Chelsea was very, very involved with Barlow from day dot. So even when she was running her own company, she sort of helped me with a lot of stuff, and even just anything to do with the back end side of the business, she was always very involved with. But then us making the decision when to take Chelsea away from her company, which she would, her company made quite a lot of quite decent money, was a difficult decision. And we sort of knew though when we made that decision that it wasn't going to be a decision that was going to pay off instantly. It was like, all right, this is going to be 2 to 3 years, 4 years of us not making, having Chelsea's income anymore. But, bigger picture, is it going to be worth it? And it was, we obviously had plenty of conversations about that. And
yeah, obviously not at the time like a financial decision, but just thinking about like the future of what we're wanting Barlow to grow into and what the company needed and the team might have needed from me as a support. And then obviously us getting to work together.
Yeah.
every day.
That's so good. I love it because, like, we've interviewed a lot of people in your space, and it's always like a husband and wife, boyfriend, girlfriend. Like it's a team. What would be your advice to someone listening right now? They could be a couple, right? And this would translate to so many people on the Gold Coast right now. Maybe they've got their house, they've started doing renovations, and they're like, we really like this. Like we're enjoying it. They might be in 2 different careers, or the common one's a chippy, and then she's really good in style, and she might be having her job. They're just unsure on that income cut to go all in. What would be some advice there, or what feelings, if you could take yourself back, made you actually take the punt? Because that's a big risk, huge risk. What would be some advice to anyone in those shoes right now where you guys were?
I think it's definitely like it was easy for us in some aspect that it was literally our passion. Like we both knew we loved it so much. Like the old saying of like, you got to love what you do every day and you never work a day in your life. So for us, even if shit hit the fan and it didn't work, we probably just had like the most fun.
from when I was young, like I've been setting, yearly goals as you do from like a really young age. And if I was to look back at my goals from when I'm like 16, it was always the end goal was to be a developer. So even when we started Barlow Building, like we would take on anything and everything just to, have enough work. I was never, I sort of put my ego aside and didn't really care what work I did. It was just whatever work we could have to bring in money. And then over sort of the next 5 years, we just sort of transitioned into, being a little bit more selective with what we did. And then,
kind of come to fruition from there. Spread thinner.
Perfectly. Like I was it got to a point when I realised I was trying to do 2 jobs and I wasn't doing either of them perfectly, which annoyed the shit out of me. I like being a perfectionist. So I'm like, okay, I need to give up one of them, and what one gives me more enjoyment and more passion. But yeah, even back when we were so crazy, we designed our logo, our very first logo, on our fridge back in the day on like this beer fridge and a permanent marker. And even back then, when I was drawing it and showing Sam, like branding from back then always had the vision of deleting our old little house off the thing and just being more simple and just saying Barlow eventually one day. So it's honestly been a vision from the very first day to
I love it.
End up like this.
So it's nearly the key takeaway there is like setting a vision, number one. And number 2, this is probably some good business advice too. I pretty much exactly what you said. I think even getting a logo, domain, like getting it all set up is nearly makes it feel real, hey?
100%. Yeah, just go for it. And I feel like you got to back yourself. I feel like some people are so scared, or they've got friends or family saying, don't do this, it's risky. But you sort of just have to believe in yourself 100%.
I love that. So good. And just to give context too, how old were you guys when you started and when you joined? Like, how old would you have been?
23.
Yeah,
when I started.
So young as.
Yeah, 23. And Chelsea was 23 as well. But Chelsea had already had a business for a couple of years prior to that.
So you had that. So it would have been even, I guess, growing up around business and with your parents too, would have they would have been the mentality, I'm assuming, like, all in kind of mentality, was it?
Yeah, definitely. I think I've just grown up seeing it work and just seeing that having a team and being a partnership in not just, your life, but in a business can be super beneficial.
100%. Before we jump into the Barlow journey and some of the homes, key tip on working with your partner. I mean, it's tough. It's very, very tough. I see a lot do it, I see a lot try, I see a lot fail, I see a lot do really well. What would be some key tips there? Because I notice a lot who are in this game are a couple. What would be your biggest advice there working with your partner or wife?
I think you gotta, you just gotta not give up really. Like there's times where probably the most difficult part about working with your partner or wife is if, you have an issue outside of work and then you're about to walk into a meeting together and you have to put on this facade of, hey,
Everything's
we're Sam and Chelsea from Barlow, not Sam and Chelsea from our personal life. And sometimes you can actually just mask, these issues, because then you come out of a meeting and you need to action stuff straight away, and you just have to click out of like, let's communicate about what was wrong to let's just go straight into work mode. So it's like still trying to, I don't know, it's kind of hard. It's just been really not giving up. And it's been so many times, where more so at the start where we struggled, but we both just had a mentality of like, all right, we're going to make this work. Let's keep giving it a go. And you kind of find things that upset the other person, or, it's things that they upset with you, and you just need to, I suppose, voice them to them and try to give each other your space as much as you can when you need it.
Yeah.
100%. What about yourself, Chelsea? Any advice to
I agree. And also setting boundaries. I was pretty bad at this at the start, of setting boundaries of when work talk starts and finishes, which used to...
That's a great tip, actually.
Clients and like even our tradies and stuff would never understand it, because they would try and ask me a question. And I would say, okay, I need to talk to Sam about this. And then they would follow me up in the morning, and I'd be like, I haven't had a moment to talk to Sam. And they're like, don't you guys live together? Like, I'm like, yeah, but we also have to be a husband and wife at the same time. We can't talk about work stuff literally until we fall asleep in bed. So I think that's something that's very important. Like we try not to talk about work on Sundays, and 5 o'clock, not from there. So.
I actually asked Chelsea's parents for a bit of advice on that when we very first started.
were they in business together?
Yeah, they were.
Yeah, and they still are. And Chelsea's mum had said, Chelsea's very similar to her dad, and I said, like, I just asked her mum, hey, I just feel like Chelsea just doesn't stop. Like, she's just a machine. I wake up in the morning, it's 4 a.m, she's on her computer.
She's
in bed,
on,
like, and her mum just said, if you give Chelsea boundaries of what you need, Chelsea will listen to you, but you need to give, you need to be the one that sets the boundaries. So I just had to set a few boundaries early on about what I needed, because we operate slightly, Chelsea and I operate slightly differently.
Yeah.
Chelsea wants to...
Yeah, you like to wind down,
I like
have a little bit of relaxation, whereas I can literally work, wake up, work.
Chelsea could fall asleep on her laptop, 8 hours, wake up, get on the laptop again.
Literally.
I need like a couple of hours before I start work, and a couple of hours before I go to bed.
Yeah. Unreal. It's nearly then I'm hearing there that firstly, be mindful everyone's different. I think that's a huge one. I've worked with my partner too, like completely different people. And when you add in the complexities of business onto a complexity of a relationship and human behavior, like you're bound to get friction. Yeah. It's just so common, right? It's impossible to not have friction. So I guess it's understanding the different personality types. That's a huge one. I love the boundaries thing too. It's a really good one. I noticed that like some people, I'm a bit like you, Sam, like I need to wind up and wind down to be at my best, but I love people who can just like get into it, and they're on, and they can go off on the same breath too. So everyone's different, and I'm sure every couple out there has got their differences. How does that then translate into? It's a powerful thing having different skill sets, though, right? Where in Barlow have you guys, I guess, transitioned all that energy into the business? Like you obviously, I'm assuming more on the building side and more the operation side. Is it design or?
Yeah, exactly. I think that's what we always tell people trying to go into business together is like the best thing. Like you're a partnership at the end of the day. We both have the exact same intention, the same vision of where we want it to go. So we're all achieving the same outcome, just in a different way. Like you always say that, you're on site doing all that stuff. I'm in the office, and we're just working towards the same goal. Like say if he's tired or sick and he's only got 20% capacity, I'm going to pick up the other 80%. And at the end of the day, we're just going to be a team.
Yeah.
Chelsea and I Chelsea very simply put it to me last week about like Chelsea's aim of the business is, my aim of the business is to make sure everything runs on site as smoothly as it can and as efficiently as it can. And it's, as efficiently as it can, because obviously time is money, and Chelsea's aim is to make sure that, we're getting brand collaborations with people for development and making sure the back end stuff is done, as efficiently as we can. And that's probably as simply as you can put it.
Yeah.
And as we start to build an office team underneath us, we're going to keep that in mind a lot. So, Chelsea's office team, even though we're a team together, her responsibility is to look after that side of the business, and my responsibility is to ensure that the people that we bring in I shouldn't say alongside us, will, sort of complement each of us in that part, in
Yeah.
each of our parts of
Yeah.
what we're trying to bring to the business.
Yeah, I love it. No, it's definitely an observation I've noticed from afar. Not only in construction world, but just any business. Hey, there's a really good book I remember reading when I first kind of is called Rocket Fuel. You heard of Rocket Fuel? Yeah, it's really good. And for the listeners, a mentor gave me early on, and just talks around the integrator and the visionary. And it's kind of every great business has both. Like, yes, there might be one who's more popular, but no matter what, they're backed by a great integrator, or the integrator is backed by a great visionary. It's like there's got to be the vision that everyone works towards, but it's like potentially what I'm noticing with the great construction companies is there's someone on site making sure the hands are getting dirty and timelines and things like that, and there's someone in the office or admin and making sure the brand's on track and integrating all the ideas and kind of keeping things moving. So it nearly sounds like you two have organically kind of teamed up in that section, I guess, which is, it's epic to see.
Thank you. Yeah, it's happened over time. So,
yeah, well, that's it, eh? A lot of people don't realize, like, the branding side, you've freshened up the branding, but you've been around for nearly up to a decade now, is it?
yeah, I think
close to
seven.
that.
I think it's 7 or 8 years. Yeah.
Unreal.
Yeah.
And let's talk on the property side of things now. So Zama was that won a stack of awards and, kind of put you guys nearly in the next category, I feel. Like it really set you guys up. Where did, I heard Zama came like in a dream or something, was it?
Yeah,
the name
it
of
did.
it?
I wish it was like a really cool story and it meant like our grandma's something, but I can't lie. Yeah, we were sleeping in the old version of that house, which now when I think about what that house looked like, it's wild. But yeah, it just came to me in a dream, like in capitals, and it was just like super clean. I feel like it just suited the house so well. I've got like a notebook of all these other future project names and none of them really stuck as much as Zama did. We miss Zama a bit. It was a beautiful home.
And what was I guess, with that property, what I noticed with that one, it had a lot of like raw sort of feel, and obviously the block was cool. It had the natural light, but was there anything you intentionally did with that one to kind of elevate Barlow, you feel?
I think everything that we did, that whole house was designed to be a showpiece for what we could do. It's very hard when you start building and, you maybe don't have as many runs on the board with big product, big homes, but it's, that's where I came from. It's my whole apprenticeships were on big custom homes. So I knew I was capable of it, and you kind of need to do that sort of showpiece for yourself to be able to show people, hey, we can play with these
capable of it. Yeah.
Big guys as well. And every sort of bit of the house, like all the bathrooms had different designs because the whole idea was to get as much content as we could that looked different in every part of the house, just so we could flood sort of, I suppose our Instagram and stuff, so people sort of knew what we could do.
So was it nearly intentional of like, hey, not only as a brand we need to elevate, but also like as a business as well, like, hey, this is where we want to start playing
I think we also wanted to show the Gold Coast market, like we've always said, that we find a lot of the Gold Coast market is just white Hamptons, coastal, travertine, which is beautiful, but we had the luxury of building quite a few of those for clients, and I think it's just definitely not our style. We love like Sean Lockyer, we love concrete, we love timber, natural materials, and I feel like a lot of people are scared to do that sort of design and integrate into that house. So, and this was meant to be our personal home for quite a while. It was also meant to be our office. So we obviously wanted to design something that we truly want to be sitting in every single day. And I think a lot of people really liked it after walking through and seeing the feedback.
That's a common one, actually. We've had a few guests on here where we had no intention of selling it, and they end up getting a record price. And then from memory, in the low fours at the time for that. That's cracker price, like phenomenal for that pocket of Broady that it was in too. So obviously you did really well. But it's nearly like, is the key takeaway then for people like designing it with like the owner-occupied mindset rather than just thinking, oh yeah, I'm going to cut corners to make some profit here, or
100%. I think buyers are so smart now that
so
you
picky
can
as well,
feel
eh?
the difference.
Yeah.
And even like friends who are not in the industry and stuff, they walk through, you know, some developers or builders' houses where you can tell it was never meant to be lived in there. You know, they don't put shaving cabinets in, no storage. And people
good
are
point.
smart enough now that there's enough products out there, finished products, that they do pick up on those little details. I think, and you can feel a house that's designed and built with love compared to the purpose of profit. Like I personally think you can feel it as soon as you walk in the door.
That's a really good tip. What's your thoughts on that, Sam?
Yeah, it's quite hard because obviously when it's a development, you need to be thinking of costs. But like Chelsea touched on, you can tell the difference, and it's probably an avenue that we don't want to go down, and we really want to stick away from. We you know, our sort of plan is that we're going to be developing homes that people can tell are developed with more thought than, you know, maybe some other developers, and we're going to that extra mile. Yeah, maybe the build costs and stuff are going to, you know, blow out a little bit with that, but we're hoping that then people will appreciate that, and, you know, the sale prices for that
reflect it,
and they can, you know, they appreciate that we've sourced the best block of land we can, we've put in as much effort into the designs as we can, and they then don't have to go and do that themselves. They're, you know, they're not buying a development, they feel like they're kind of buying a home that they're like, oh my God, I wouldn't really change anything about it.
Yes. Yeah. What would be then, if you were to highlight probably 3 things in particular, if we take that mindset of like, hey, you got to build with, obviously profit's important, 100%, but with that mentality of like, you're right, we work with so many buyers that they're onto everything these days and they can tell. How can someone listening right now avoid that? If there are 3 things you could give them when doing a development or a new build, that not to cut corners on, you feel?
I think it's just the accumulation of small areas. I don't think it's like when you walk through a home, a lot of the time you can't pinpoint. So when people would walk through Zama, no one would pinpoint anything in particular that they liked, but just the accumulation of little things. Like if I was to just picture myself walking through Zama right now, I would be thinking, you know, just solid doors that, you know, you don't have any, you know, they're just a nice solid feeling when you open them. You know, nice handles that aren't just from Bunnings and they're from some nice place. You've got the angled eaves, which make the your view out to the sky look a lot nicer. The accumulation of just like little details added to cabinetry rather than it just be standard, like just thoughtful details in bathrooms. And it's just like, it's honestly just a combination of all these little tiny details that comes with someone that's got experience putting in their house because they care about the house. And then from that, it kind of all comes together and people don't actually understand what they really like about the house or what's different. It's just everything coming together and working together. It's you kind of get that feeling of a little bit more luxury.
Then it's that feeling, isn't it? Like, again, I'm just thinking back to all of our higher end buyers when they buy something. It's just like, oh, it's just a feel.
Yeah. What do you have anything in particular, Charles?
I think you hit the nail on the head there, Ed. I always say that when we walk through the room and stuff. Sam used to hate it, and I'm like, no, this is the feeling, this is the vibe, and you're like, details. But 3 things, like if I had to actually pinpoint 3 things, I would probably say definitely don't skimp on like bathroom storage. Like any female walking through a master bathroom, that is something we immediately think, where the hell is all our makeup? Where's all our hair stuff going? Like I feel like any female is 100% thinking about where she's putting her clothes, which I feel like most people understand not to mess that one up for a girl now. But yeah, bathroom storage. Kitchen layout, I think, is really important too. I think just thinking about, I feel like a lot of people walk through a home, visualize themselves standing and cooking at a kitchen island, being able to see their kids in the backyard, being able to see dad on the couch watching footy or whatever. And I reckon just master suite size.
Yep.
Like the mum and the dad are the one buying the house. I think if you had to sacrifice size in the kids' rooms in order to give the mum and dad a wow factor as soon as they open that master door, I think that's an area like that's important.
Yeah, and probably on the Gold Coast as well, like your pool areas and size of your pools. Not just doing like a basic 6x4, like even just for the marketing when you're going to sell and stuff, when you've got a different special style of pool, it's really appealing, I feel, to the Gold Coast market because, you know, we've got beautiful weather all year round.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah. And it just, I mean, if you're just thinking purely from like a content point of view, the best shots of a
That's
house
where
I
it's
feel is
all
like
at,
around
eh?
the pools.
There's some absolute bangers in there. What I got out of that was obviously the attention to detail. It's a huge one. I love what you said there, Sam. Like the accumulation of the 1%ers throughout. I remember chatting to someone literally yesterday that moved into a property that was more of a specky build. We're just chatting in James Street in Burleigh, and he was saying a lot of things are like loose and this door is just a bit rattly. Like just in a sense, aesthetically looks good, but maybe whoever developed that didn't go that extra mile. They're just getting better quality fixtures and fittings potentially. So that's a huge one. And I definitely agree with that as well. I love the bathroom storage. That's a huge one because they're the ones making the decisions at the end of the day. Yeah, it's so true too. Like I'm just thinking like some of the high end buyers we work with, if there's not enough storage in the bathroom and she's not happy and there's nowhere to add any, that it's a no. It's a no go. So that's a huge one. The kitchen layout obviously is a massive one these days. The ability to watch over the children in the sizable pool and stuff like that. And yeah, I really love the master suite size for sure. All the bangers I'm thinking of on the Gold Coast right now, the master suite is just like on another level. You walk in and you're like, wow. Could have had average kind of kids' bedrooms, get to the master, and if it's at another level, it's nearly making a win, isn't it?
Yeah.
At the end of the day. That's really, really good feedback. Talk to me on the actual, I heard you say it, Sam, the site and the actual like plot of land it's on, right? Probably the most important over everything is nailing that. What would Barlow look for in, and we'll relate this to Gold Coast because most of the listeners are on the Gold Coast. We want to get specific. What are you looking for on the Gold Coast for a Barlow build? What would be take budget aside, just pretend there's no budget.
My
what would you look
main
for?
thing's aspect.
Yeah.
Aspect.
Obviously, you got location, but I'm like a bit of a water boy. I love being in the water, and it'd be difficult for me to buy something that would be due south. I just don't think that we would, just with the way that we like to style our homes and stuff, and with the pool being at the forefront, it's like either east or north would probably be, or even west, a little bit west as well, but probably mainly trying to get sites that are as due north as what we sort of can.
And just to unpack that for anyone who doesn't yet, when you say north, so you're talking around the block itself, and so in your head you're picturing where the key areas, the kitchen, living, master suite, you're envisioning the build having those key areas to the north. That's right.
And in the pool area, just getting sun all day probably would be my key point. A lot of the design stuff, I've got my input into certain areas of the house, and probably more so the external shape of the house and the pool area, and a lot of the other stuff I put a lot of trust into Chelsea and designers as well. So
from the internal side of things, yeah. So for any listeners out there, I guess if they're just say someone's budget's capped for maybe a south or a west facing, for example, is it still possible to achieve like the kind of layout? Obviously that's the desirable, but now some value for people who are trying to make something work with not north facing. What are some tips to try and pull that off, you feel?
100%. I'm actually very excited. I'm sure one day we'll have to buy one of those blocks. And there's a layout that I've seen work really well a lot in Brisbane. I think often even on a dry block where you've got your pool sort of, imagine your house is like a C shape.
Yeah, in the middle.
Your pool's in the C, and then it's awesome because you've got like your second living off the pool, and you've got your alfresco off the pool, like everything's off the pool. And I think a lot of buyers nowadays are even loving dry blocks for the privacy aspect. So that shape I think works really well, south or west facing.
That's starting to pop off, isn't it? Yeah, I've noticed a few of them. Getting around the Gold Coast. There's a fair few in blue chip Brisbane, I noticed, in sort of your Hamiltons and Ascots and stuff on the smaller blocks there. And I'm noticing it more and more now on the Gold Coast.
Yeah, almost gives like a bit of a villa feel, all the bedrooms coming out onto the pool.
Yeah.
The Bali style.
Yeah. But at the end of the day, if you had free choice of a block, you're always looking for aspect and some sort of north to capitalize on what you said, the sun. And people don't understand it sometimes too. Like they hear the north and northeast. A lot of it is that it's the sun, it's the light of the property, it's the warmth and things like that too, isn't it?
Yeah, like until you sort of have a block that's north, and Chelsea sort of didn't understand at the start until we actually started building Zama why I used to drill down on why we wanted a north block so much. And then once it was built, she understood because it didn't matter from the start of the day all the way to the sun went down. It was just, you were just drenched with light all day.
I was literally wearing sunglasses inside of Zama when I was working there because it was just, that house obviously was just windows fully on that north side and it let in so much light. Like that was obviously when we didn't have blinds and stuff. I was working on site and it was so drenched with light all day, which is awesome. Like having natural light in a working space or at home feels so different from having, your real lights on.
Yeah, for sure. And it's a real big takeaway too on the valuation side as well. Like I try to educate some buyers out there who are getting into this too. I agree. Like obviously that's the pinnacle, right? Some sort of north to northeast. Some people can't put their hat around like they're looking in an area, same postcode, same size block, but one's on south versus north and the value's different. And they're like, well, I'd rather go that one because that's cheaper. But what they don't understand is exactly what you said. There are people out there who would pay a premium to be on that side because of things like warmth, light. Like you can't just move your block and change the whole layout, right, of aspect. So that's a really good point. And to help anyone out there when they're trying to find a site, just understand that where that site is, the valuation plays a part as well. Don't just assume because it's the same size, same suburb that it should be priced the same.
Yeah, I think privacy comes into that too. We obviously try and find a lot of places with a little bit of privacy, especially on the water, because it's hard to come by. Like at Zama, that's probably one of the main reasons that I was open to selling it in the end is no matter where I was in that house, because I also put so many windows on the front of the house, you could see us at all times. There was not a hell of a lot of privacy in that house, the entire pool area, because it was nice and suspended on the same level. It was anyone could see in, so privacy definitely adds value too.
It's a really good point as well. Waterfronts on Gold Coast, when people say wide water, well, a lot of it is that distance between your waterfront aspect to the other side, right? And some of those ones in Broady, they are quite tight, right? And again, why you'll see valuations on really wide ones a lot more because privacy is probably a big one, isn't it? Being on a waterway on the Gold Coast.
Yeah. Those point blocks in through that area are quite nice. Even where those canals are a little bit smaller, the point blocks have really nice waters. We're building a home in Mexicali Court at the moment, which is sort of northwest, and the aspect and just the outlook being on the point blocks so nice. They're really, really nice.
Just quickly on that for the Gold Coast listener, when you say point block, just quickly at the end of the cul-de-sac, and there's usually, the 4 or 5 homes. Is that what you're meaning, isn't it?
Yeah, one of the point blocks. Yeah.
Premium blocks, they're juicy. And there's only a few of them on the Gold Coast when you think about it. And what about in terms of, again, was there any learnings with Zama? Obviously, you got a great result, but any key learnings for anyone out there? Like if you had your time over, no mistakes, there's no such thing as a mistake, but any learnings if you had your time over with Zama to help anyone listening?
100%. We've learned a lot from Zama, not just only from the building process and us maybe flip-flopping our idea of if we are going to live in it and if we're going to sell it. If we were ever building it to sell, 100% a lot of different learnings on where money could have been spent differently, but that was never the intention. It was going to be our personal home, and of course we just wanted to put in everything that we both loved. So if that would be a totally different question, but learnings I think for us was house size, which we couldn't change too much on that block due to the size of it. We probably could have potentially built above the study or the carport, but I do think it would have changed the feeling of Sam's courtyard. But garage space I think would have been a big learning there. And even we don't even have kids now, and when we started putting in Sam's office, my office, everyone works from home nowadays. Even when you don't have kids, we had 4 bedrooms in that house, and we ran our bedrooms. Sam couldn't have a gym there, and so just size I think was the biggest learning.
Because we were quite young when we first started designing Zama.
It was meant to be years and years ago. And
Yeah.
we just kept saying yes to clients. And then-
Gotcha. Yeah.
And now that we're kind of getting older and, you know, you have a little bit, like you sort of set your house up a lot more homely, I suppose you could say, as you get older. There was a lot of areas, like I said, even said to Chelsea, where the hell am I going to put my motorbike and stuff? Like, I said, I don't actually have any of these areas where Zama was, it was designed to be a show-stopping piece, which it kind of is, but it has its flaws, and we will learn from that. And
So it really sounds like again, what everyone said, like storage, size and storage, taking into account, again, really good example. I was chatting to someone about this yesterday. Like when you have kids, everything, you look at houses completely different, right?
Yeah.
So accessibility, like low set versus high set, stairs and different things like that. And livability too, I think I took out of that too, like understanding that, what are you doing in that house? Do you have boats, motorbikes, whatever it is? Like, where can you keep those things? Is that kind of what you mean? Yeah.
And I think like us eventually actually taking Zama to market was probably one of the best things we could have done for Barlow, and us understanding what the market truly wants. Like we had the best opportunity to learn firsthand from buyers walking through, but then building relationships with real estate agents. Like our next projects for Barlow in the pipeline have been fully designed, sitting down with real estate agents. Michael Koloshi has spent hours with us. So just really honing in on not just lessons that we've learnt from this home, but from others he's taken to market.
Gotcha. Yeah,
we've had real estate agents suggest in our early stages of our next projects us completely flipping homes with kitchens on the other side and stuff. And Chelsea and I had taken that feedback because what we maybe thought the market wanted and what the market actually wants was two very different things. So we actually have been given lists from like the guys at Koloshi, and sort of we've tried to tick every single box that we can with those lists to try to just, I suppose, maximise the chance of people really falling in love with the houses. So rather than them being designed just solely how Chelsea and I want them, designing them how from experience from the real estate agents, how they have experienced that people want them. So then people don't have to go out and, buy the land and build themselves. We're trying to give a product that, the majority of the market's really going to want.
Love that.
Yeah.
So it's nearly having that sense of understanding what the current market is wanting.
Yeah.
Obviously, you've got your unique flavour and Barlow touch. That's very important, but also understanding, hey, what does the market actually want and need right now? Can we integrate some of those things? And it just removes some blind spots, doesn't it, that you might not be aware of. So that's huge advice to anyone going out there and doing a build. And on that, just to finish on, like future projects. So Barlow, you had Zama, great result. What's next for you guys as a company, as a build, like your own projects? What's in the pipeline? What are you thinking?
We've got an exciting one coming up, which will officially be announced soon, but it's going to be known
Exciting.
Das Estate.
Awesome.
Which will also be on an exciting block in Broadbeach Waters. I'm sure we can say a little bit more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's a block in Broadbeach Waters.
Awesome. That's exciting.
Which is about almost 4,000 square metres, which
Wow.
will be divided up into 4 lots, and we're doing 4 luxury homes.
Cool.
The smallest home being about 500 square metres. So they're still all quite big, and they're all completely different. So you've got Das Estate stands for Deja Vu, which is mine and Chelsea's home that we're going to be designing and living on. And then you've got a house, which is Alchemy, next to that, which is very similar to the Zama sort of vibe.
Yeah.
And then we've got Axel, which is more of a, what would you call?
Yeah, it's like a Japandi style home,
Oh,
grey
yeah.
cladding, raw natural materials inside, but mixed with that luxurious feel. Like there's green Ming marble in there, herringbone, timber floors. And then Sea Salt is a very cool white home filled with marble, timber, really like luxurious, earthy, floaty sort of feel. That one's got a pretty cool pool as well.
Yeah.
It's exciting.
Yeah.
Sounds like some cool things coming. And I've been lucky enough to get a little view. This is like, stay tuned. All I can say is, it'll be so cool. And that's why I love having people like yourself on, just raising the bar on the Gold Coast. It's so exciting as a city, isn't it? Just seeing the build quality just kind of step up and elevate the past few years, which has been amazing. What's your guys' thoughts individually on the Gold Coast market as a whole? Like, you've been here a while now, you've been in business for a while. What have you noticed as huge trends or changes on the Gold Coast?
I probably am not as on top of the market as what Chelsea is, but one thing that I am confident in is you just can't replicate the lifestyle of the Gold Coast. It's such a desirable location to live, which inevitably I feel is just going to constantly drive, home prices up. And then, there's people migrating from all over the places, whether it's, from Sydney and Melbourne and influencers and stuff, where people really want to live in, decent sized home where they can have retreats and gyms and all this area where I feel like there's such a market for high-end homes where people can, if designed correctly with the correct amenities, are going to be able to, get really good prices for them, because people don't want to go through the process, like we've all heard before, but people don't want to go through that process of designing the home and purchasing the land and all of that, because it's a timely process, it can be 2 to 3 years.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I feel like that sort of high-end market's always going to be here on the Gold Coast just because it's such a beautiful location to live.
Yeah, 100%. What about yourself, Chelsea?
Probably very similar answer to Sam. I think it's just a beautiful spot. The people are beautiful. So it's even a place where I feel, obviously there's not as much night market. So being able to stay at home, have that morning lifestyle, wake up, potentially have like your home sauna, gym, and a lot of people are working from home now as well.
True.
So just living in such a happy, sunny place is definitely the way to be.
It's insane. And you touched on it there, Sam, migration. It's just been a huge one, the amount of people moving here. And to add value to listeners, what that's doing is definitely pushing up the capital value of all the assets in there, because more wealth comes in, they need places to live, supply's short, inventory's so short from a build supply level too. Hey, so more people coming in, not much available. It's as simple as that, isn't it? And it's really, really exciting. Lastly, for I guess and I always like to, it's not that long ago for you, but what would you guys tell like your 20-year-old selves if you haven't started the journey yet? Is there anything advice to your 20-year-old self?
That's a great question. Mine would probably be, my 20-year-old self is to give it a go earlier. I feel like Sam was really the one that pushed me to just not be so scared. I guess obviously have all your ducks in line to some degree, but you do have to just also back yourself and jump at it a little bit, which I was probably back then a little bit scared to do, but you definitely helped me with that.
Love that. Back yourself. Yeah. What about yourself, Sam?
Mine would probably be reach out to people in the industry earlier and sort of I don't know if it's putting your ego aside, but putting whatever used to stop me from reaching out to people in the industry for help, put that aside, because I feel like in the last 12 to 18 months since I have been doing that, my belief in myself and also my understanding of how much people are open to helping you has completely changed, where I tried to probably do a lot of stuff myself and not ask for advice. But within the last sort of 12 to 18 months, we've had, a lot of people in the industry be really open to helping us out. So
I love that. So it's nearly, combination of backing yourself, believing in what you want, and then also understanding that, hey, don't be afraid to reach out for help. I love that.
Yeah.
Like, put your ego aside and understand, hey, and you're right. Like, a lot of people are willing to actually, especially on the Gold Coast too, hey, everyone's there's an abundance mindset here. I feel, hey.
You get enjoyment out of it. Like, I tried to relate it, how I could relate in my own sort of headspace, and was, the joy I get out of helping, young carpenters or whatever. I love when someone asks me a question. So some of these people that are in, positions maybe where you want to be, I'm sure they would enjoy sort of being able to help you as well.
Yeah, love that. All the young chippies listening, they're just like, oh, can't wait to pick Sammy's brain. Yeah.
DMs are going to be loaded up.
No, I love that. And lastly, I always love asking people this who are in your industry. What's one thing or a myth or something that people don't? Everything looks amazing, right? From oh wow, people build and sell. What a lot! Like, what don't people understand around the industry? You know, what's something to be mindful of? If you want to do this full time, what's something to be geared up for, you feel?
I guess you definitely have to go with the flow a lot more than you thought.
Love it.
You know, you can do all these predictions and you can do as much forecasting as you want, but really it's the market that is going to make the decision, and you can't fully predict that. So you got to be, you know, ready to take less than what you thought your bottom dollar might be and, you know, move on to the next project, or that would probably be my biggest.
I think
That's
that's
good
probably
tip.
something that Michael's taught us a lot over the past sort of 12 to 18 months.
Yeah.
If something does not work, you know, move on if you need to move on, or be open to everything. Like Chelsea and I, probably a few years ago, would have something very set in stone in what we wanted or how we wanted to achieve something, and then if it changed, it would be like a big like, oh shit, it's not happening how we wanted it to.
Which can be really hard. We had that with we designed, and I still wish we got to build this, and I hope the developer that we sold this block and our plans to does eventually get to build this place, because it was so sick. We had a block in Palm Beach on Telebudget Drive with a really cool triplex all connected together with landscaping and concrete. And yeah, obviously you tell all our work boys, you tell everyone in the industry, and you even, you tell your family and even your grandma and stuff, and they keep asking you questions like, when are you going to build this thing? And then of course when you then make the decision of, oh, actually it's probably not the best decision for us to build this, there's a better land that suits us more, better opportunity. It is definitely hard, and probably from an ego thing, or just to explain to people, oh, you know what, we've actually changed our minds. So yeah, going with the flow and not sticking, even if you really want to do it, if it's not the best decision for you, don't be scared to change your mind as well.
That's great advice. That's
Be
really
open
good
to
advice.
everything.
Yeah. That's a huge one, nearly. I see a lot of people in your game and like just property in general. It's nearly like they hold on to something that could be limiting a future opportunity. And I see that a lot with people who have maybe have a dud in their property portfolio or something, and they're just holding on to it for whatever. They don't want to let people know they sold it or got rid of it. But that one move could be holding you back from potentially, 3 or 4 different projects or one amazing new investment property. So I love what you said there. It's being fluid with where the market's at, understanding opportunities are out there. And yeah, it's nearly like a game of chess, isn't it? Sometimes you just kind of make moves and something else comes up, and then you might pivot or checkmate and capitalize, eh? Yeah.
That's the game.
That's the game. Everyone wants to checkmate straight away. Sometimes it takes time though, eh?
Yeah.
Sometimes it takes time. Well, hey, I really appreciate your guys' time. We'll finish with the Gold Coast Fast Five, one of my favourites. But I just want to acknowledge you both. Like, again, I didn't realise how young you both were and doing amazing things on the coast, just having a crack. And I love all the key lessons too. One thing I've noticed from afar with you guys, you are very open. Like even when he's reached out to me, I love people who are just onto it. They just want to learn and grow. And I think that's the difference between maybe if you're listening, if you want to do this properly, it's understand, hey, lean on other people, get help, learn, grow, adapt. So exciting to see what's coming in Das Estate as well. Where can people keep an eye on all your stuff,
Definitely
by
on
the way?
our socials, and Das Estate will have its own Instagram very
Sick.
shortly as well. So yeah, definitely go to Barlow Instagram.
Yeah. Fresh rebrand, I hear, is on the
Yes.
agenda too, potentially.
Yeah, website should come very soon as well.
Love it. Just
So-
quickly on that, why is brand important, you feel?
Branding to me is like probably one of my biggest passions in life. Sounds like, oh shit, she's about to go on for another 2
Yeah.
hours. But no, I just love branding as a whole. Like I feel like people just get a very clear visual by looking at a logo of who you are, what you're about, and what you stand for. And our logo back when we started it was perfect. We were focusing on construction, but the goal was to always sort of delete the house, delete the slab, and just have Barlow nice and crisp and clean.
Yeah, kind of. It reflects where we're at now, where the old logo sort of reflected where we were at the start.
Love
and
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was very, we had it on everything, all of the boys' cars and all our trailers and everything, because it was really trying to get our name out there, which we're still trying to do now, but probably in a more sophisticated way. Yeah.
I love that. It's always stuck with me. This guy I really love in business and been following for ages. I see him as like a bit of a mentor, and he's met Richard Branson, and he asked Richard Branson, in all your, 60 years or whatever it is in business and everything you've done, what's the biggest thing? And he says, one word, brand. And that's it. It just says brand. Brand is everything. It's brand recognition. Brand is what people, when they're not talking about, like what they're saying behind you, like it's the feeling, it's what the culture you're building, it's everything, isn't it? The brand. So I love that tip too, being adaptive to, the changes of business as well. Like we were just chatting off air as well. Like I realized as a business, we've probably outgrown our old brand, and it's like, let's revisit. So that's awesome, guys. Gold Coast Fast 5. You'll love this one, Sammy. It's brought to you by Temp Therapy, Gold Coast. So the lads, saunas, wellness, cold plunges, all the stuff, they support the show. So 15% off, code word SRAMA, SRAMA. Reach out if you want one in your new home. Get Barlow to build it. Get Temp Therapy to install it. What a combo. Yeah. And they'll look after you too if you mention the show, free installation and whatnot. So Fast 5, first thing that just come to mind, short, sharp. I'll get one from each because they might be different. So first one is favourite Gold Coast beach?
Currumbin.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. The alley? Like.
Yeah, we live down on Currumbin, right in front of Vikings. So just nice and quiet.
Sure.
I remember when I moved down from Brisbane where Currumbin Stairs is.
Yep.
Just that look to the north. I was like, what is this place? It is the best view, I reckon, in Queensland.
Yeah,
it's nice and quiet down in Currumbin.
Isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, it still feels like you're on holidays. Like,
doesn't it?
In the olden days a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. Imagine a big Barlow on Woodgie Street at the top of the hill, eh? Yeah. Manifesting? Yeah, I love it.
We're living on Woodgie at the moment. And it's,
yeah. Isn't it a spot, eh? Yeah. What about in terms of pocket on the Gold Coast? Like from an investment side, pure capital gain, is there any pockets on the coast you guys are keeping an eye on?
I really like Merrimack and Carrara for entry-level buyers.
Yeah. Yeah.
And more entry-level buyers. I don't know why. I've always felt that it's decent price. You've got such big roads, like such large roads going in and out of the beach, where I've thought that for the last few years whenever we have mates that are looking to buy somewhere.
Or like Currumbin Waters, that area that we drove down the other day.
Yeah.
Where it looks over it like that, the water's not super nice, but it's still like so private and so quiet in that Currumbin Waters pocket.
Yeah.
Unreal. Good advice. Both of those spots, just as obviously we buy a lot of property for investors. Two of our hot spots actually, Carrara for sub 1.3 houses. You can get in there, and we've noticed like bang, huge jump price growth. And Currumbin Waters for waterfront, so I think huge value down there still. Wide water.
Yeah, big blocks.
Yeah, huge blocks. Again, if you can get on point position, even better. Favorite Gold Coast cafe or restaurant?
I actually really like the Tropic, but I think it's just the vibe.
Yeah. It's actually decent food, yeah.
He loves Mama San, like hands down.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
is that in Broadie?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be your favourite.
It's Thai, isn't it? Is it?
Kind of, yeah. Asian fusion.
Asian fusion, yeah.
That would be
I have heard of that. I still haven't been there. Yeah, okay. Yeah. And the Tropic.
Oh, do you know what? Actually, Eddie and Wolf is our hands down favourite. There's like a little hidden Japanese place in Robina. Oh no, now everyone's gonna go there.
Wow, that's proper.
So it's near Robina Pavilion. It seats maybe 20 people.
Yeah,
it's been there for
it's
years,
phenomenal. Like
it is.
so good. They change their menu all the time, and just hands down.
Wow.
They even have like this ice cream. What's it called? It's like a soy sauce chili ice cream dessert.
Wow,
and
honeycomb.
It's so good.
Okay. That's the play. They were there, yeah. I love the intel knowledge. Favorite holiday destination outside the Gold Coast?
Bali.
Yeah, we would live in Bali at a drop of a heartbeat.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe one time. We got a villa actually that's almost complete there.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So
yeah, sick.
Yeah.
What part of Bali
Bingin?
do you like? Bingin, yeah.
On the
we
hill.
definitely like Uluwatu the best.
Yep.
Yeah.
Great spot. How good. And lastly, where would you think the Barlow dream home?
Probably Woodgie.
Where you're at?
Yeah, definitely Woodgie.
Yeah, Woodgie or somewhere with a bit of acreage, like Tally Valley or something. I had grown up on a bit of acreage at the back of Mudgeeraba, like my toys as well, like my bikes and cars and stuff.
Unreal.
So somewhere with a bit of a shed that we can put all the toys in.
Probably have to have I shouldn't say little. They probably won't be little. 2 houses. Yeah, he loves the beach, and then we've both sort of grown up on land. So
got it.
land.
Yeah, there's definitely a shift, isn't there, with with acreage market. Yeah, some bangers out there at the moment.
Tully Valley, like you've got no major like even intersections from Tully Valley through to Currumbin Beach. It's so quick to get to. You could be on 20 acres out there and then you're at the beach in 10 minutes.
It's wild, hey? Yeah, yeah.
And it's so beautiful out there. Like it's
100%.
cracking spot.
Yeah, no, so much the Gold Coast has to offer. Well, guys, again, thanks so much for your time. Absolute value in that one. And, yeah, really appreciate you, sharing your knowledge.
No,
drama.
thank you.
Thank you.